Guys, I've been using the strategies in this book from the very beginning in order to get more views on my channel. And you should too. What if I told you that a pooping unicorn inspired this video? What would you say? Because honestly, that's what inspired this book. Before we get too deep into this, I wanted to ask you, what is your definition of growing organically on YouTube? Let me know in the comments section below this video. And I really wanted to start out by talking about how to start a channel the right way. Derral talks about the importance of loving the content that you create. And the reason this is essential is if you don't, people can see this in your videos. I've made this mistake in several ways in my life where I've done something in order to get something else. And here's the problem, is it's really hard to get results when you do this because your heart's not in it. He also talks about in this book of the importance of emotionally detaching from your channel. I did not do this, and this is one of the reasons I had a really hard time making data-driven decisions. And another important thing to think about is consider not going all in on something until you see the results that you are after. Because here's the thing, if you just make a couple videos and they're not really working, consider if that type of content or that niche is not right for you. Because the farther you get down the rabbit hole, then the sunk cost fallacy starts kicking in, and you don't really want to give up what you're doing because you're afraid that all the time you spent will be wasted. And so it's just really important to make sure that you are passionate about what you create. I thought that creating YouTube tips content and combining it with, self-development concepts was a brilliant idea because really no one else was doing that. But the problem is there isn't necessarily as much demand for this content as I would prefer, and so it's made it harder to get the views that I expected when I got on the platform. Now, let's talk about organizing your content. Derral mentions something called YouTube buckets in this book, and basically it's the idea of creating categories for your content. And the reason this is so important is this allows you to create the same type of content within your niche. So you're not changing niches, but you might change video format and style a little bit in order to suit different types of content within that niche. And as you do that, it makes it so that your viewers can become familiar with the types of thumbnails and video topics, and it makes it so that they can recognize what type of video they're going to get. And so it's still familiar, but it allows you to create different types of content. And this is actually something that I haven't done as well on this channel, and it's made it a little harder for my viewers to get used to the content that I create. Now, one issue that you can run into when trying to do this and create YouTube buckets on your channel is to do something I call dating your content. This is basically when you do anything that makes it so that a person can tell when you made that video or that it went in a certain order. It's kind of like talking about something that's a continuation of your overall channel story. And so it makes it so a person wants to only watch your content in that order. Now, when it comes to community building, something really important that you need to do is you need to go where your avatars are at. Basically, your avatars are people that are going to enjoy your content. They're your target audience. Basically, an example of this gone wrong would be if you created, for example, gaming content and you were promoting it on Pinterest, where not very many gamers are, when instead you should be promoting it on Twitch, where the gamers are actually at. So make sure that when you are promoting your content or doing your niche research, that you are going where the people are actually located. And this is also why you want to be really careful with cross-promoting your content on different platforms, because people, for example, on Instagram might not necessarily frequent YouTube very often, and it can make it hard to get those people to actually watch your videos. Now, we need to talk about sharing content. So in this book, Derral mentions several times that you really shouldn't share your content with family and friends. And the reason for this is it confuses the AI, the algorithm. And so I actually have seen the negative effects of this, I think, because I shared my channel a lot with family and friends. And I think this is one of the reasons that sometimes you get behaviors of viewers where they're not really watching your content to the end or something like that, that makes it hard to get that video performance that you're after. Derral also mentions something very essential in this book. It's in order to be successful, you need to figure out who is going to click. And this is basically the idea of understanding your niche audience, your avatars, and figuring out, what kinds of titles and thumbnails are going to be attractive to them and what's going to get them to click. And by doing this, this is how you will ultimately grow on the platform. Now, we absolutely have to talk about data because Derral Eves loves data. And in this book, he says that you need to be a student of the data. And basically what this means is you need to make sure that you look at your channel from a micro level, not a macro level actually. And the reason this is important is overall your channel might be doing amazing, but if you're failing in a particular category, that category is bringing the entire channel down. And that's why it's so important that you fix that particular area so that everything else can succeed. So you might be thinking, what actually is the YouTube formula? Well, it's try, fail, analyze, adjust. And when I read this, I felt kind of frustrated because honestly, isn't that what we do with almost everything in our lives? And it does work. It eventually gets you to where you want to go. But here's the problem is that's a really slow way to get there. And what I would recommend doing instead is figuring out what you need to know before you get started so that you can actually get those results a lot faster. See, like if I had taken some time to learn to video edit and to make thumbnails before I launched my channel, it would have completely changed my experience. And so I would just recommend to you that you do the same. So a mistake that YouTubers often make when it comes to data-driven decisions is they often don't use enough data. See, I know a YouTuber that actually makes 31 videos in the same format and style, and then after he's made all those videos, then he looks at the data. And one thing that I wanted to mention here is I know YouTube's hard, but you need to remember that this design and marketing experience that you're getting on YouTube isn't actually going to waste. You never know what you're going to create in the future, and these skills that you're developing now can be used to make, for example, say that book you write be more successful. Now, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but usually a creator's goal is to get a viewer to watch another one of their videos. But here's the thing, YouTube's goal is to get you to watch another video on the platform. It really doesn't matter what the video is. And I normally wouldn't do this, but I actually need to send you off my channel because you need to watch a very funny advertisement of a unicorn pooping ice cream.
But you know who sucks at pooping? You do.
It's literally hilarious and it's worth every second of your time.